Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Direwolf 20. So, first off, I want to apologize. I know there hasn't been an episode in about a week, as you guys probably have guessed, or you read on any of the social media or Discord or anything like that, or on the YouTube channel. I have been moving, so I haven't really had a whole lot of time to record in the past week. It was a lot of stuff to move, and it did take quite a while. Also, I didn't get a whole lot done between last episode and this one. I will between this episode and the next one. But, yeah. This episode should be coming out on Thursday. The next episode should be out on Saturday. So, I'm going to try to get everything, everything should be back in order now. I've still got a little unpacking to do, but I can do that in my spare time when videos are rendering or something like that. So anyways, today I want to begin working on RFTools. Because it's something that we really, that's kind of one of our major goals for the remainder of the series, is to start diving into RFTools. Now, I don't know how fancy we'll get today with it, because I do want to get dimensional shards before we go too far into RFTools, to go ahead and infuse stuff and things like that. I'm not going to jump straight into a dragon dimlet, so just a heads up on that. So anyways, let's go ahead and get some things together. We have a small shopping list, pretty much the standard RFTools shopping list anytime you're going to make a dimension. One thing I am going to get that's not necessarily needed for RFTools is I want to get a chunk loading award. It's not, I don't think we've ever made one in this series. I could be mistaken. It could have been, at some point. But I don't think I've actually bothered, because we're pretty much in this little area almost all the times. I just don't think I've worried too much about it. But I do want a chunk loading award for our dimension. So what we're going to need is we're going to need something called a contract. From extra utilities, just glass, ink, paper, feather, basic stuff. We'll go ahead and grab one of those. And yeah, I'll just go with one for right now. Like, I actually don't have the entire base chunk loaded. I just haven't bothered. We have tons of resources. Not anything that really concerns me, I guess. So, we'll go ahead and grab that. The two things we're going to need is just the contract and the golden lasso. Then we have to kind of make our way over to a village. So, give me just a minute. I'm going to fly over here real quick. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and mark this. We're going to say add noom. We're going to say village number 1. Okay. Just so if I ever want to come back, if I need more contracts or something like that, I can do it. But anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to just take our contract, right-click a villager. This one says no thank you. We need to find one that agrees. That paper's too rectangular. It's X deal. Okay, this one's basically saying yes. Known as Jam Guy. We'll go ahead and say sign. It says, there's a bunch of stuff here. I'm not going to read through it. So we'll go ahead and sign it. And now we can right-click him with a golden lasso, and we have Villager Butcher under contract. Okay? So basically this villager has agreed to be a chunk loader for us. So now let's go ahead and get our chunk loading award. Oh yeah, we're going to need 1 eye of redstone. Okay. And it's that easy. Basically this just loads in like a 3x3 chunk and keeps it loaded. So I did want to go ahead and grab those so that we can keep the area, over through the dimension. We can keep it loaded and all that good stuff. Keep it powered. And I'll probably, honestly, I may end up making a few more of those just to have around the base. I might as well chunk load it. I just haven't bothered up till now. So, also, you may notice the FPS is a little bit better. I know I had a bunch of requests or suggestions to throw in Optifine. Well, you still get these, but so I did throw in Optifine. I don't know why I didn't really try that before. I've used Optifine in the past, but a lot of times it doesn't actually do a whole lot for me. But in this pack, it has. So I'm very happy about that. So the FPS is fairly good now. It stays around 55, 56 in this area when I'm moving around, so it's not too bad. But anyways, now to the actual RFTools shopping list. Alright, we've got a few things. First thing I'm going to want is going to be a dimension builder, and we're also going to want the inscriber as well. So these two blocks right here none of these are really all that expensive. I am going to need some of these machine frames, so let's go ahead and get, like, say 5 of these or something for now. So the inscriber, there we go, not a problem. The builder, a little bit more expensive, but still not expensive for us at this point. Then next up we're going to want matter transmitters. Let's go ahead and get 2 of these. Not expensive. And we're going to want a matter receiver. And then I'm also going to want a dialing device. Oh, we're out of machine frames. So we'll get like 1 more of those. There's our dialing device. And then I'm also going to want an empty dimension tab right here. Paper and redstone. Okay, so we've got that. We've got all this stuff. Wonderful. Okay, now one other thing that I do want before we do that is I'm going to want a dimensional transceiver. We've got a bunch here, so I'm just going to snag one of these. That's fine. I'm fairly certain that we have one that is sending power, correct? On some line. Okay, we're going to go ahead and make a power line. We're going to call it dimension power. We'll go ahead and add it, and we will send power on dimension power. Basically, this is just going to supply our transmitters with power within our dimensions. Now, technically, since we have this advanced dislocator, we could totally bypass the need for that. Basically, just pop it in the dimension, set a teleport, and have it. But I want to do this, show you the proper way, and then that's probably what I'll do, is just do advanced dislocators from then on out. Alright, so we have pretty much everything we need to generate a dimension and travel to it. Now, in addition, there is a couple other things that I'm going to want. I have all these dimlet parcels, 180 of them so far. Basically, I just generate these whenever I run the spawners. And I haven't actually tried running the spawners since I threw in Optifine. So we're going to pop that on. We're going to see what happens. It's such a mess over here. Just mobs all over the place. Actually a terrible sound, honestly. Okay. So, if we take a look here, you'll notice I already got another dimlet parcel. Basically, that's what that's doing, is it's just generating, dimlets for us. Let's see. Let's set up something here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to go into RFTools, and we are going to get some storage for this. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and just make ourselves a modular storage from RFTools. So let's go ahead and grab that. And there's that. And then we're going to need some storage modules for it. So let's go ahead and we're going to make just, the top tier one. That's fine. Let me get a chest. Okay, so there's tier 1. There's our tier 2. And then finally our tier. It's a couple blocks of quartz. We'll be fine. There we go. Storage module tier 3. Alright, and I think we're going to have our RFTools workshop just be right up here. Okay? Let's say, for example, this top section here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, let's see, we'll have our dimlet section like right over here, I think. So I'm going to put the modular storage down right here. We'll throw in our storage module tier 3. And so we have this nice little modular storage. So if I was to throw things in here, you can see they get stored in here. Then I can pull them out, which is great for stuff that I don't want in our system. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it full of like these dimlet pieces. All this dimlet junk basically from dimlet parcels, right? Alright, and next up what I want to do is I want to automate our dimlets. Because we've got all those dimlet parcels coming in, I just want to go ahead and just have the system take care of those, do something with them. And so what I want to do is let's go ahead and get ourselves a dimlet just to use for filters and stuff like that. I'm also going to want item conduits. I'm going to want filter, just a basic one is fine. And then I'm also going to want, let's see, maybe an export bus. And then let's go ahead and get ourselves an ender chest line. I don't think we have any spare ones, so go ahead and grab that. Let's get 2 of them. Okay. I don't think I have any spare ender chest lines. Let me double check. Okay, no, I do not. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this as the... Let's see. We'll set it up like right here. Yeah, here. Okay, so we'll put that there, and we're going to do just white, light blue, white. Okay, and then I want to put the export bus onto this. Do I want to... Yeah, I think I'm going to send them through the ender line. I could either have the dimlets broken down in this building and then send them through, like the broken pieces, or I could do it from here. I think I'm going to do it from here. Like, send them and then have them broken down elsewhere, is what I think I'm going to do. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do is, let's go ahead, we're going to say, you know, you can only export dimlet parcels. And then let's get ourselves just a piece of cable here. That right there is fine. I think, yeah, I'm going to need a cable anchor. I was thinking that this this wire was all broken off. So we'll throw that on there. Throw that on there. Okay, so this should be getting dimlets. There we go. Wonderful. And let me go ahead and get maybe an acceleration card. I don't really need that many because dimlet parcels are not a super common drop. So it's not something that I'm going to need a whole lot of them, honestly. Honestly, a couple of them is overkill because you're going to see that we have no more dimlet parcels in the system already. So now what we're going to do is we're going to pump this over. We're going to send it, and eventually I think what we're going to do is maybe long term maybe have modular storage all the way out here. I'm trying to kind of keep it with RFTools. Of course, we could do a small AE system for all the pieces, but I think I want the modular storage there. So what we're going to do is we are going to have basically just an ender chest. Okay, I tell you what, we're going to put the ender chest right here, kind of into the floor. And I'll come back through. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can. I may end up putting something down there, so you can't see that. Alright, so the ender chest is there. What we're going to do is we are going to filter... Or not filter, we're just going to straight up extract. Why does it start on never active? Okay, always active. And what I want to do is I want to pump up to this mechanical user. It doesn't matter really how we have it facing. I'm going to have it facing up just for the sake of it. We're going to say, you know, insert. And so you'll notice it's breaking down those dimlets. It should every so often. There we go. We're going to say... that'll be good. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up an item conduit here, and we're going to say, you know, you can extract, but with a filter, and we're going to blacklist dimlet parcels is all we're going to do. So we can basically extract everything except for dimlet parcels. We're going to say always active. We're going to say insert, and so now everything that's not a dimlet parcel is going to get pumped out into this modular storage. It's kind of annoying right now. It should... I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Now turn the volume down for just a moment, you know, while that's ding-a-ling, 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 going through all that stuff. Anyways, if you take a look here, you can see that we're building up a lot of dimlet pieces. Basic memory units, control circuits, all that stuff is all within here. And we'll put all that to use, you know, in the very near future. I don't know that we're going to get into dimlets too much today. I want to get I want to get the infuser first before I worry too much about messing with dimlets and all that. Just because I like having the stuff infused. You get a lot better power production and stuff like that. So next up, what I want to do, I wanted to go ahead and get that running so it could keep caught up. But I want to set up our actual stuff to go to a new dimension, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a... This is basically going to be our work area, I think. So we're going to have our dimension builder. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to put our dimension builder like right here. Okay, we'll go ahead and break that off. And then we're going to put our inscriber right there. And then we'll have some other machines down the road that we actually use for the stuff. But for right now, that's our two main ones. are those two. So next up, what I want to set up a teleportation section. We'll have it like right over here. Okay, so this is our dialing device. We'll get into how to use all this stuff in just a second. I'm just trying to figure out how we want to lay all this out. And then we're going to have a receiver. And this is basically, the matter receiver is where you're going to teleport back in, you know, anytime that you teleport. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up our matter receiver right here into the floor. Just a little ways off from all the teleporting and stuff like that. And then we will put our matter transmitter right here. And so now, basically the transmitter is going to transmit you. And we're going to use the dialing device to figure out where we want to teleport to. So we're only going to have the one transmitter, the one receiver here. We do have a second transmitter. This is for our actual dimension. And so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and name this transmitter. We're going to say this is, we'll call it main base transmitter. Okay. Public access, all that stuff's good. Wonderful. And then this one will be the main base receiver. So main base transmitter, main base receiver. If you click on this, you can see main base transmitter, main base receiver. And now what I want to do is I actually want to plug power up into all of this. I don't believe that we have a power line here. Is this done? Alright, we got our volume back again. But yeah, so it ran through all those dimlets. You can see we have a bunch of stuff in here. Wonderful. Okay, so now we're going to need a wireless power transmitter, because we're going to need power in like all this stuff that's sitting around. So let's go ahead. I just want one of these wireless energy crystals. And I think for this building, I'm just going to put the wireless energy crystal up here. Usually I do it a bit more like mid-range, but like the bottom floor in this one doesn't really have anything except teleporters, you know, that don't really need any kind of power. So for right now, I'm just going to set it up right there. I think that'll be fine, you know, long term and everything. So let's go ahead and give these all power, like the dimlet builder or the dimension builder. The inscriber doesn't actually need power. Let's also give the dialing device, the transmitter, and the receiver all power. And then let's go ahead and set up our other transmitter real quick. I'm going to go ahead and just give that power for right now. And we are going to go ahead and link these up. Let's say, is this even getting? Now they should be connected. And everything should be working good. That was my mistake. Yes, okay, so we're getting power in these. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and bind Dimension 1's transmitter to the receiver in the overworld. Okay, so we'll go ahead and dial that. And if you were to jump on this, you can see that we teleport over to here. And we got the world moved achievement. Great. So now what we can do, let's go ahead and pull this up. We don't actually want to keep this here. We just want to make sure that that's bound together, right? So, next up we need to actually build ourselves a dimension. And we can do so with this empty dimension tab. So we'll go ahead and set this into here. Then let's go ahead and briefly get into dimlets. Just a little bit. I'm not going to go too crazy and specific and stuff like that with dimlets right this second. But let's go ahead. I want to make a dimlet workbench. Okay. And we're going to need a machine frame. There's that. There is our dimlet workbench. And we'll go ahead. I don't know if I want to set this over here or here. We'll set it here. Okay. So we have this dimlet workbench. Now you can see that we can craft all these different dimlet pieces. And within this, you can scroll down and you can see there's all these different dimlets, right? Now, it's nice because you don't have to wait on like random luck or anything to get the dimlets that you want and things like that. You can just craft them. So, you know, for example, if we looked up, if we wanted Ender Dragon, you can see that it's a rarity of 6. And you can see the pieces that we're going to need to make it. You do need a dragon syringe and all different kinds of stuff. But let's go ahead. And you can see that the rarity 6, we only have one of those. And that's what we'd use to make those really, really rare ones. Now the one I'm looking at right now, this, well, it was like a foothills, right? Yeah, that one's only a rarity of 1. So, for that, we're going to need a dimlet base part. Okay, we'll go ahead and set that into there. We're also going to need our rarity 1. Then we're going to need our basic energy module. And then we'll need a basic memory unit. Now, you'll notice there's also advanced ones. Those you'll use for the higher rarity dimlets. And then we're also going to need the biome type controller. And then lastly, we're going to need a biome absorber. Let's get this, just wool, machine frame. You know, it's not terribly expensive. And there's that. Okay. And let's go get ourselves a biome. So let's see, we're in plains right now. Do we just want to do plains? We could just do a plains biome, really. And what I can do is I can just set this down. You can see that it's going to start having this little visual effect. Basically what it's doing is it's absorbing this biome, the essence of this biome, and it's copying it over, and we'll be able to use that in our dimlet workbench. So we'll give this just a little bit. It does take a little while to run. But I know I've had some questions in the past about how, you know, the new RFTools dimlet creation and stuff like that works, because of course it's a little bit different than it was in 1.10 and in 1.7. In 1.7 you could craft some, but it was still a lot of random effect to it. But now we can just use this. Now there is still ways to find pre-crafted dimlets, and we'll get into that later. But if you want to craft them, you can do it. You know, it's honestly not too bad just to craft them. But I will be back in just a few minutes once this biome absorber finishes. Alright, our biome absorber is now finished, so we'll go ahead and just break this off, and we'll grab it, and you can see, owned by 2 Asgard, it's a plains biome, 100% absorbed, and it doesn't actually do anything to the biome itself. When it absorbs it, it basically just copies it over. And so now what we can do is we can pop in here, and we'll put this into the, there we are, the workbench, and we'll put it right here, and we can say, now we can make a plains biome. You know, we have everything in here. Now with the dimlet, you can see the creation cost is 100 RF per tick, maintain cost is nothing, and tick cost is 1 tick. So let's go ahead, we'll grab that dimlet. You'll notice it eats up all those items we made, and now we have ourselves a biome dimlet. And so we can go ahead and throw this into our thing here. Now you can do, I will say that next episode we're going to be doing machine infusing with the RFTools, as well as more precise dimensions. This one we're just going to put planes in here. All the rest of the stuff will be randomized. You can actually make a biome without putting any dimlets in here. You can just say store, and it'll create a dimension for you. But I want to make sure that we actually have, you know, planes and stuff like that. I'm going to go ahead and specify planes dimension. We'll go ahead and say store, and it's going to store that into the dimension tab, and we'll say, you can also say extract, and you can pull the dimlets back out. But we're going to say store, and we're going to pull this out. So this is biome 1 dimlet. Okay, you can also name it if you want to. We'll do that next episode. We'll get into a little bit more precise creation. But let's go ahead and throw this into the dimension builder, and you'll notice it's going to start creating the dimension for us. Okay, and once it hits 100%, there we go. Now we can actually go into this dimension, and this is going to be stored in this dimension builder. So as long as it's at 100%, that means the world has been created, and you can see that it's building up power in that dimlet. Now each dimlet does require power, and you need to leave it in a dimension builder if you want it to be active. If you pull it out, or the dimension runs out of power, the dimension will still be there. It's just not being maintained. And so what's going to happen is, if you go there and say it runs out of power, basically the world starts breaking down, and you will die fairly quickly if you go into a dimension that's being broken down. So anyways, let's go over here to our dialing device, and we're going to say we want to dial ID2. Okay, base transmitter to ID2. We're going to say dial. You'll notice this lights up. So what we can do is we can step into this. It's going to start teleportation, and there we go. We're teleporting to our new dimension. Now, like I said, everything's going to be randomized except for it is going to be a plains biome. So if you look right there under the map, it says plains. So it did, in fact... Oh, we ended up with gas as our enemies. This is interesting. Very, very interesting. As you can tell, everything got randomized. But instead of having like normal mobs that you would normally have in this situation, we have ghasts. So, awesome. And we have just a big floating island. Is basically what we ended up with. Oh, and it's made out of acacia wood. That's interesting. An acacia wood island is what we've got. So let's go ahead and warp back. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a totally random dimension. No plains biome, no nothing. So let's say, for example... Actually, let me just pop on... What we're going to do is we're going to pull our dimension tab out of there. And we're going to throw it into this. We're going to say extract. We'll go ahead and pull our plains biome out. And now we're going to say store. And we have a new dimension. Okay? So we'll go ahead and throw that into there. We'll let that charge up and create our world for us. There we go, 100%. We're going to say connect to ID 3 this time. Okay? And we'll go ahead and just step through here. And let's see what we got. This is a little bit better of a dimension, you know, for what I want, for my purposes. It still looks like it's a floating island, but that's okay. It's not filled with gas trying to blow us up and all that mess. Alright, but what we're going to do is we are going to just have a look around. There's one thing in particular that I'm looking for, which we actually have little igloos here. Little igloo buildings. Oh wow, we're having all kinds of like little dungeons spawning in this dimension. More magical capacitors. Most of this stuff I don't really care to get, but I will take the magical capacitors because they're actually fairly useful and they're not that common. I mean, you'll find them in dungeon chests and they're kind of randomized as to what they do. Fire aspect 2. But some of them are actually stronger than octadic capacitors. So they're definitely worth grabbing. You can see here, like that's capacitor of holding, modified power holding device, something wonderful. You know, there's always different names and stuff. It's kind of like all randomized. We'll just throw them into the system for now. But like I said, I mean, some of them are going to be worse than the octadic capacitors. Some of them are actually going to be a little bit better than octadic capacitors. So they're definitely worth grabbing if you come across them. Oh wow, this is like an igloo with a room down below it. Oh, here's a soul vial with a polar bear in it. I will definitely take that. Well, anyways, let's go ahead and head on back up. Okay, but anyways, I'm getting a little bit sidetracked here. I'm just like playing around. Let's see if we can find what I'm actually looking for here. Right here. This is what I want. This is dimensional shard ore. So, let me throw some of this stuff into the system here. Okay, let me take care of that guy. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this stuff. And we got the exotic miner achievement. This is that dimensional shard ore that I was talking about that we're going to need for actual machine infusing. Now, chances are there's probably a bit of it hidden away in this this floating island. So probably what I'm going to do is maybe run a quarry over it. Maybe that would work. And it does glow. So, you know, if you're flying around the bottom of like one of these floating islands, you can generally come across it pretty easily. As you can see, we're coming across a fair amount of it so far. Oh, and you'll notice we've actually got mining fatigue too in this dimension. I just now noticed that. Sometimes you'll get negative effects. Now, generally, negative effects are going to reduce the actual power consumption. So, you know, it's not all negative when you have that. But some of them can be particularly nasty. So, just kind of keep that in mind. You should always check what effects your dimensions have whenever you start messing around in them. I did not, but that's okay. Mine was just mining fatigue. It's not anything too bad. So, Not too concerned about it. But you can see, I mean, we've already got a stack of 19 dimensional shards. They don't take a whole lot of time to build up, but sometimes they can be a little bit tricky to come across. So I'll just keep that in mind. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set up right here. We are going to put a warp back to home. Okay? So what we're going to do that is we're just going to set up a matter transmitter. And you don't have to worry about a receiver. This already has a receiver. That's great. And then what we're going to do is we are going to put this dimensional transceiver, and we're going to say that, you know, you're going to receive power from the dimension power line. Okay, so what that's going to do is we can keep the transmitter running. Now technically I could mark this and we could say, we'll say dimension number 1. And so we could always teleport here and teleport back through our advanced dislocator. But now we actually have a way, if something was to happen, our advanced dislocator's not on us or something like that, we can actually teleport back using that matter transmitter and receiver. So now if we wanted to, we could step into this and it's going to teleport us out. Back to here. Wonderful. And then I could also chunk load this, you know, and just kind of have this so that it always has power. Now, truth be told, it's only going to use power from the transmitter if you're teleporting. So realistically, I probably wouldn't have to chunk load this because, you know, whenever I come here, it's going to top off the power in this transmitter because it doesn't really use that much power to send you back and forth. So, you know, it's not something that you really have to chunk load. I'll tell you what I am going to do, though, is I am going to chunk load, like right there. And those, basically, you just set them down. They're going to drain 8 GP, but they're going to keep a 3x3 area chunk loaded. So, anyways, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Basically, just going over the basics of the really basic stuff for RFTools Dimensions. Next episode, when we come back, we're going to infuse a few of our machines, because infusing is a way to upgrade your machines, basically. And depending on what machine it is, it has different effects. So, for example, you can always check them. Let's say the Dimension Builder. Okay, you can see down there in yellow text, it says infusing bonus, reduced power consumption, and faster dimension creation speed. The Dimension Editor, reduced power consumption. If we go up here, the Crafter, reduced power consumption. The Transmitter, reduced power consumption and increased teleportation speed. The Receiver is reduced power consumption. You know, there's all different kinds of things, but we're going to be doing that for our Dragon Dimension. So next episode, when we come back, we will do a bit with machine infusing real quick. And then we're going to set up a real legitimate dimension that's going to be basically be specialized in Ender Dragons. It's going to spawn Ender Dragons as the standard mob in that area. So, and we'll get into more detail on, putting in dimlets and, specialized dimlets and creating a specific dimension that's built entirely off of dimlets instead of having all that random effect chance in place. As always, though, if you guys have any questions about anything we covered today, do let me know. The next episode for Direwolf should be out on Saturday, so stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'm trying to get everything back in order, so we're going to have an episode every other day. Sundays being the only day that will generally be out of the mix. Now, this week, we're going to have Ozone on Sunday. That's due to the fact that I'm trying to get everything back in order. I also have a tutorial that I'm probably going to be releasing on Sunday, if not sooner. We'll see. But I want to get back into the habit of having Sundays, especially at this new apartment. I can record pretty much any time of the day without having just the noise of my neighbors, which is great. It was like a week of moving, and my body's so tired, but it really is worth it. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, though, do let me know, and I'll do my best to get those answered for you. But next episode, we'll cover a lot more in detail, a lot of the finer specifics of RFTools and dimensions and stuff like that. So, anyways, I hope you guys join me for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. As always, if you did, be sure and hit that like button, and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already for more daily videos. and I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I will see you then.